Playing some Eve Echoes. I also play Second Galaxy. I've only been playing Second Galaxy for about 6 weeks or so. And this is like day 3 in Eve Echoes, which came out about a week and a half ago.
Warp drive active.
Only an alpha clone at the moment. Yeah, this is Eve Echoes, so I'm just doing a delivery mission. Just gonna do a quick sort of gameplay of each, probably about half an hour in each, I think. Just to compare. They are similar games, like start going through gates and jumping around space and stuff, but there's a lot of differences in them as well. Now, one of the things I like about Eve,
active.
I didn't realise this was going to be an 8-jump delivery. But one of the nice things is that the interface is very functional while you're in it. So I'm currently doing a bit of training. What do I want? Just got to decide what I'm after next. I do want to get into a destroyer, so I should probably queue that up. You see, it's gone a little bit jerky while I'm going through the gate.
Warp drive active.
But in Second Galaxy, if you're in the menus when you go through a gate, then tough. You're getting kicked out of the menu. So it is nice that you can spend, like, you can do more stuff, and there's more stuff to do in the interface in Eve. So you end up able to, whoopsie, meant to hold that down, put it above paleontology.
Warp drive active.
Is it? There we go. It's just, I clicked close a while before it closed, but I was going through a gate. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have taken the other missions that I did, because they're not going to be terribly close anymore. But I can chat to these guys to start them off. Yeah, see, that's fairly far away now.
Warp drive active.
Oh. No, not yet. So I picked a lot of these up. It's not letting me click cancel because I'm gating. But once we're through the gate, it picks back up. So I'm getting these started off now that I'm in transit, so I can see which one's closest quickly. I picked up a lot of these that were unlocking story missions. Okay, so yeah. All the things we picked up are fairly far away, but they're close to our home base, and we will want to be heading back there at some point.
Warp drive active.
So there's more floating around doing stuff in your ship, and a bit more travel in Eve. I find Eve a little bit more, I don't know, kind of like peaceful.
Warp drive active.
We will be getting to some combat soon. You've got lots of pretty backgrounds. They do get a bit samey after a little while though.
Warp drive active.
So, your ship is definitely there. camera has a nice little slider and it kind of keeps moving a little bit. It works, gets used, keeps it nice and smooth and gentle. So the main, like this is the main ship that I'm using in Eve, but it's just my first one, Mark III Kestrel, basic frigate. Interestingly, kind of looks quite similar to the snowflake that I'm using for wormholing in Second Galaxy.
Warp drive active.
Well, my apologies for such a lengthy warping start, but you know, if you're going to play these games, you're going to get a lot of warping, so if this bothers you, probably not the right game for you. So, what next? Yeah, we're a lot of jumps away from the missions we took. Okay, let's see what other ones we've got that are a bit closer, if there are any closer. Okay, I was after combat, because that's, okay, so all the combat missions are currently quite far. Let's do a refresh. So you can do that once every half hour in Eve. Okay, so we've done Evil Rights already, but we want to do a combat comparison, and that one jump away as well. 2 jumps. They might, that might turn into 3 jumps too. So we'll grab a couple of combat missions. Now we've got some that are close to the area we're in. Now that one shows danger, but it has got a nice reward. I'm probably not going to say, yeah, one's a T4 destroyer or a frigate, and I'm in a T3, so I'm not going to do that one because it's too tough for me. Oops, I didn't realize clicking on that would actually... Right, let's get all these started off. I've done this one before, so I don't really need to read the text, but I'm not going to go to it straight away. I want to get the number of jumps up on all of them. It is nice that you can pick which missions you want to do. I did some encounters in Second Galaxy the other day on a stream, and you get what you're given, and you gotta go. You're either gonna do it or you can abandon it, but you can't just pick a different one. Okay, so let's head to this.
Warp drive active.
Awesome. New skill rating for me. Next one. Okay, yeah. Nice little... I'm glad that pop-up comes up. Trade level 3. Oh, hang on.
Warp drive active.
Accounting level 3. Freight level 3. Maybe I should be checking these before. because I'm working on trade level 2, and that's actually been effectively a waste of time almost. I will get some free skill points from it, I believe. I'm going to take it out of the queue. So because I'm using that skill chip, we'll give it to me. Oop. Yeah, I'm at my location. Let's get locked on. I could fire both missile launchers at once. I've tried the auto camera, and it doesn't make sense to me at all. The auto camera in this, it kind of like, when you first lock onto something, it'll look at it, and then when it changes targets, it'll like zoom around over there, and then zoom out over there, and then take you straight back, looking away from the enemy, and zoom back in. It's just like, the auto camera in Eve Echoes is just crazy, so far as I can tell. You're always far away from the enemy, and I remember this from EVE Online, which I played like around launch time, so I want to have a go at this because I haven't played it for quite a while. It's better. Echoes is definitely different to EVE Online used to be. I'm preferring it so far. Good chance I'll get like either basic or standard Omega. But I plan on playing Second Galaxy as well. Oh, and now I've got my missile out of sync. I'll stop one of them. I like putting them half cycle apart from each other so that you never end up throwing 2 missiles at something that 1 missile will kill. And go. This is currently annoying the heck out of me in EVE Echoes. Getting that loot. Approaching frigate wreck. Yes, great. Exactly what I told you to do. Now keep doing it, please. Oh, got another one that's actually in range. Awesome. There we go, and now it's gone back to orbiting executioner. Approach frigate wreck, please. Now, I have got it set to do auto orbit, which is what my issue with it is. But there we go, auto orbiting. Just turn me around, right? Approach frigate wreck, please. I have to get that missile launcher going again. One of them pretty much always stops, while the other doesn't when you have to retarget. And we've made it to the frigate wreck with minimal. That was like, we got in range. Why is it normally 10 kilometers is fine? Oh, that's sort of approach instead of loot. I have had some times, it's a bit iffy. That worked really well. But a lot of the time, you'll do approach, and then within a second, it'll go back to orbiting your current target, and then you do approach again, and like a second later, it goes back to orbiting your current target. Talking is distracting me and causing me to leave my shield charger running and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of like nice, sedate. Enemies come up, you target lock them, you get your weapons firing in sequence, and you wait for them to go away. It's probably quite realistic space combat, you know, it's mostly done by the computer. At a distance where you don't really see much of the enemies. They're just dots in the distance. Right, let's go crack on, do another one. Okay, awesome, in the same sector, let's go.
drive active.
That's interesting. Oop. I need to unlock that. I just tapped it. I only tapped it once. Immediately unlock it. That's a problem. I must have... I don't know. Leave combat. You're killing stuff and you're getting loot. There's some stuff happening on screen. You know, your ship's like flying about like a mad thing. Alright, let's see how well this goes. Approach frigate wreck. Approaching frigate wreck. And now we're back to orbiting, so we do approach again. We're approaching. And now we're back to orbiting and approach. Approaching, orbiting, approach. And the ship just kind of like pirouettes and spins very quickly. When it goes back to orbiting, it's just like, whoop, now back to orbiting. There's some, I mean, it does a similar thing in Second Galaxy, but it's got some logic to it, and now we've made it into 10 kilometers, so we can leave. Auto combat in Second Galaxy will start auto orbiting when it changes to a new target. So if you kill something and it moves on to a new target, it'll start auto orbiting the new target. So you can manage it very easily. It's like, you know that it's just changed target, so it's just changed its like ship directional command as well. It does this one wonderful thing of stopping firing one of the guns. I'm not used to fire. I like the fact that the guns are toggle on and off. I don't like the fact that because there's a timeout when you have to retarget, relock onto stuff. Only one of your guns will keep firing. I'll get used to that. That's not really an issue. Right. This constant overriding the autopilot. So we're approaching the frigate rack. See, it's lasting a good long time this time, and it's changed targets to the enemy, and it's still approaching the frigate rack. And see, it worked wonderfully. Nice. No problems with it that time, but you saw last time where I had to just keep doing it over and over and over again. That's nice and close.
Warp drive active.
How long have we been going for now? 21 minutes. We've done a couple of missions.
Warp drive active.
Mostly combat missions. There's some weird elastic ship movement going on there. I'm looking in one direction, the trails are in another. Nice to be close to an object there. Interesting orbit pattern. I'm sure there's like a reason for it. Their ship's approaching me, so I'm heading for one angle, and then next time it checks it's at a different angle. The ship's further away, so now it's trying to get closer. I'm getting distracted watching the missile. I find it kind of interesting, because they don't actually match up. You see the missile launch, and then it hits the enemy, and now the enemy's died, and you're still watching that missile fly. But you know, that's not like major, is it? Get those back in sync. And if I choose to observe them, we can see their ship. Zoom is really... Zoom doesn't work very well in observation mode. And because it shows their target, I have no idea how I would find to look back at my ship. Right, and then it's gone. Cool. Let's do some retargeting. And now we come back to my ship. Where are the lines? I'm not seeing any. Oh wait, there was one for a second. I missed my missile target. I'm trying to find the blooming enemies. I couldn't see the targeting lines that time. The background's too close in color. Normally you can kind of tell which direction to turn your ship in, but you don't get a better field of view unless you like zoom right out. And and then you can't see your ship at all, and that's just pointless. Well, I mean, you know, still playing the game, but at that point it may as well really be a text adventure. You just select fire missile, and it rolls the dice. As much as the backgrounds are really pretty, you know, you can't really see the ship very well. Right, so this must be the side that the sun's coming from, so we can get a bit of a view of our ship. There's a nice looking ship. I'm on about medium graphics, but I've set for max resolution. It started me off at like 75% resolution, but I thought, oh, let's see if it runs it okay at 100, and it does, so.
Warp drive active.
Go off and do this next close one. And then I'll dock up somewhere, since you don't really have quite the same home base penalties. I'm not going to go do those missions that are 12 jumps away. We are nearly half an hour in, so this last mission will be our half hour in the Eve Echoes.
Warp drive active.
I've got lots more to explore in Eve. I haven't done any regular anomalies. Like, I went to one, and there were some people there, but there were no enemies there. I think there's like enemy spawn points, and periodically stuff will spawn, I assume. But this is
Warp drive active.
it's quite a nice relaxing game. Although, if I remember rightly, not so relaxing when you're doing PvP and trying to like mine in low sec and losing expensive ships to player pirates and stuff. But if you want PvE, then this is the kind of stuff you're going to get in Eve. Not bad. It's enjoyable. It's satisfying and rewarding. Semi-automatic, but you need to keep an eye on it and learn to manage it. Oh, here we go. Another frigate to approach. Interesting, you do the approach and and then it's back to orbiting. Right. And then you do approach, and 1 second and a half later, it starts doing it. And we're back to orbiting for no particular known reason. Here's to I'm back to orbiting. I'm pretty sure it's just like on a timer and checking periodically. definitely needs some serious managing of the autopilot. Now we're in range, so let's get that thing rebooted before we go back to everything. It'd probably be wiser not to, because I've got within really close range of these guys, which is obviously a better range for their weapons. It's meant that they've done some damage to me. Much more significant damage than they would have done if I hadn't gone for the figure X. So I'm not saying you should, but if you want to, it's kind of hard work. Just having to reapproach and reapproach. Right, so we've now got all those, which might just time out at some point actually, because anyway, let's, I don't think we're going to head back to base because that'll be, oh that's not, it's only 3 jumps away, fine, we ended up pretty close back to home. So we will head back to base. Oh,
Warp drive
we're
active.
doing it already. And that's annoying. It's an awkward place. So yeah. Eve Echoes, the latest craze. Plenty of people playing it. And it is a nice experience. I'm glad it's come to mobile. I'm glad I can play it. And I will. There's a decent chance that I'll get the
Warp
standard
drive
Omega
active.
playing at some point. I don't think the basic's worth it, and because the duo bundle is like the full price of both singles, I don't think I'm willing to pay £5 for the extra 5 skill points a minute. £10 for 30, yes, or 25 or whatever. 15 for that extra 5 as well as your
Warp drive
nearly double
active.
bonus. Yeah, no. So I'll probably pay for standard, which is like makes it £10 a month for UK. At some point, I'll get some basic training in first, and I still prefer SG Second Galaxy a bit. Nearly back to base.
Warp drive active.
Right. So that'll do us for now. And let's jump into the next one.
Entered space station.
Second Galaxy does have a bit more in-your-face, optional buy stuff, but like this, you know, you can buy exclusive ships and other things. And, like if you pay for the adventure plan, then you start out this stuff. You get a lot of blueprints in Second Galaxy. Kind of follow that RNG thing. Opening boxes. You don't have to pay for it. If you pay $2.99 a month, then the decryption process is twice as fast. Keep doing while you're offline, of course. I've got a couple of queues to keep active. Okay, and I'm going to go do a wormhole for a combat comparison. You get 2 wormhole entries a day, but that adventure plan that speeds things up increases that to 3, plus you get a couple of free PvE restores. You don't get free restoration for your ships if they get killed through PvP. If you're in a court, then you can request compensation, and people who do the compensation will go. I don't want to do an unstable wormhole, that's too low level for me. Well, it'll be fine. It'll still be relatively quick. I'm going to do a critical wormhole, which I've only just worked up to. In an alarming wormhole, I can just like plow straight through the enemies. Critical wormhole takes a little while. This is an interesting. Critical wormholes are a very interesting thing. Plus, you get wingmen, which are a nice little bonus. You can't use them in wars, but you can use them in most other places. Oh, bugger!
Commencing
No.
war.
Stop. Go back to station. Just saw at the last minute that I was out of ammo on one of my guns. And you do have a home base in this one, so you can only do like ship refittings and stuff when you're at your home base.
Commencing warp. Arrived at target
Like your
location.
ships always look like they're turning, which might not be accurate for space, but you know, that's more of an atmosphere thing, isn't it? You know, if you're in an atmosphere, then you bank when you're turning because you're using physics.
Entered space
air
station.
resistance. But it does look nice that they do it. Okie dokie. I was using up that ammo. It was nowhere near as good as my other ammo. This one I don't think I can use. No, not quite. I could use that, but that's like PvP ammo. That's already locked to me. Should I use it? Loads more of that. All our guns up with tier 2 rank 4 ammo. So you have ammo in this, which makes an interesting part of managing stuff. Right, back to wormholing. No, not unstable. That is too low level, the rewards will not be worth it. I'm in a tier 2 ship, not a tier 1 ship. There's only tier 1, 2, and 3 ships in this game, but you can theoretically fly any of them. If you want to get into a tier 3 ship quickly, then you will probably have to pay real money for like a limited edition one that doesn't require any pilot licenses. But it won't necessarily be like actually better. It'll have different abilities than the standard like ships from the 4 playable races.
Commencing warp. Arrived
Of which
at
there is a
target
5th
location.
planned. Is it 4 or is it 3? No, I'm pretty sure it's 4. ECD, yeah, it's 4. ECD,
Commencing
OE,
warp.
NEF, RS.
Arrived at target location.
Short versions of them. It's pretty similar in the whole going through a Stargate as your loading screen, warping through the zone.
Start commencing warp. Arrived at target location.
Of course, I've been playing this longer, so I'm like based at my corp camp.
Target
Zero
engaged.
security space. Head into the wormhole. Of course, I have yet to try wormholes in Omlet, so I don't know what those are like, but one of the best places for combat, since you're more limited on encounters. Right, and in here, your navigation is on the left.
Starting warp engine.
And then you have
Commencing warp.
quick action buttons depending on what you want. I'm moving
target
in each
location.
you get 2 levels of wormhole in here. Regulated
Auto-combat
space and chaotic
activated.
space. You get a debuff to your energy recovery,
Roger.
which doesn't start on, you get like 2.5 or 3 minutes or whatever without it. So the auto combat will automatically fire your guns for you, which is nice. When you click on the enemy, it will focus the camera on them, which is nice. Can it be a little bit closer? Like, there's more action.
Approaching target. Target engaged.
So auto combat will activate your built-in shield charger. I don't have a special shield charger. All ships, apart from capital ships, come with like a standard charger and a standard thruster, which are not as good as ones that are built in. Like the standard charger will not keep you alive. Right, this is a buff site, which is what we want in regulated space. We don't really.
Commencing warp. Arrived at target location.
Oh, this is a nice bonus. Gives you 12-kilometer extra weapon range. Which,
Approaching target.
if it wasn't for this buff, I would not really want to use.
Target engaged.
Oh, this is not one of the ones I necessarily know. Right, so that goes up by 8, up by 2, up by 6, up by 2, up by 4? Nope, definitely not. Well, they're all odd. I'm going to guess. And I got it wrong, which means I lose all my shields, which sucks. Good, my wingman did not lose all his shields. Is he going to recharge me? I rely on him for my shield recharge. I have not gotten that quiz wrong since I stopped charging my own shields. Oh, bugger. I'm using a shield extender, so that really screws up my shield recharge. Oh dear.
Starting warp engine.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Commencing
I
warp.
have to get into some combat so that my wingman will recharge my shields.
Arrived at target location.
This is a terrible example. completely screw up the question.
Auto combat activated.
It also means I didn't get my 12-kilometer weapon range. If I click on another thing, it'll move over my view, and then I can control it to start shooting. Oh, this is terrible. This is real bad. Oh, this is the worst example I could possibly give. I gotta go back to base from fluffing that up. Oh man, can't believe how badly I just did there. And now he's charging my shields. Thanks, buddy.
Arrived at target location.
That's the thing, your wingman can be a little bit unreliable because you can't directly control him. Like sitting there with no shield, he's like, well, you're not in combat, you don't need him.
Target engaged.
And I go get in combat, and he doesn't do it until after the combat. Thanks.
Warning, ship is severely damaged. Starting warp engine.
What a waste of a wormhole entry.
Commencing warp.
I've not seen that question on that one before. Normally, like, if you get it wrong, then it'll be the same next time.
At target location.
Most of them are easier to figure out than that. There's either a sequence... I don't know, maybe they were prime numbers or something. I wasn't... 53... I don't know if that's prime, but 55 definitely, isn't it?
Warning, ship is commencing warp. Arrived at
I
target
couldn't see the
location.
number sequence in it. Well, that's rather a reward for that is polymath. There's a couple of ones which are like brain teasers, which give, that's how you get the 12-kilometer weapon range.
Warning, ship
Just when you've
starting
been playing
warp
for 6
engine
weeks and you
commencing
think you've seen all the variants, you get one that you haven't seen before and can't figure out quickly.
Arrived at target location. Entered space station.
Okay. That was a terrible, terrible, terrible run. Let's try again. My last wormhole run for the day. Well, not necessarily, because it's actually 5 PM UK time. It's going to take me to that closest one again, isn't it? Yes, it is. No, thank you. Pretty sure it was there. Yeah. If I did an alarming wormhole, which is the next level down, then very unlikely to have any issues. But it would be a bit too easy. The enemies would just pop.
Commencing warp. Arrived at target location. Commencing warp.
But because Second Galaxy has like limits
Arrived at target
on
location.
how much of things you can do at once, I'm quite happy to mostly play that, and like if I run out and I don't want to go try and find some PvP combat, then I can just go play Eve in between.
Starting commencing warp. Arrived at
So I
target
think it's nice to
location.
have both. Let's see if we can get some actual combat. But because I'm going into like the toughest one I can manage, seriously, the first time I did a critical wormhole was like yesterday. I was like, oh cool, I can do it. Although, you know, I'm more likely to run into higher level enemies, which makes it more likely to get killed in PvP and lose my ship, but
Starting warp
I'll
engine.
survive.
Commencing warp. Arrived at target location.
Okay, this is a nice bonus. You kind of learn the events.
Approaching target.
I want to call in our wingman.
Roger.
Auto combat activated.
It wouldn't have let me. It doesn't let you attack them until they've gone through to a certain like sequence. So I'm using combat blasters, which have a like low range.
Approaching target.
5.8 kilometers with whatever bonuses I've got.
Primary weapon ready.
Okay, no more bonus site. You basically get 5 explorable sites
Auto combat
in
starting
each
warp engine. Commencing
section of
warp.
Wormhole.
Arrived
Regulated
at
space
target
allows
location.
no player versus player combat. Ah, there's somebody around here. These star travelers are missing.
Target engaged.
The wormhole portals to the next section are normally guarded. But yeah, your 5 encounters, you have a chance of sharing them with other people, so you may or may not see anybody at them. The more people there are in the wormhole with you, the more chance you've got. It's just me on my own. And do we have any? No buffs. The only thing we want out of regulated space at this point.
Starting warp engine.
You do get loot from it.
Commencing
It's not
warp.
terrible loot at this level of wormhole,
Arrived at target location.
but you get better loot and tougher enemies in chaotic space.
Target engaged.
Somebody else has been burning through here, which at least saves me the fighting star travelers each time. Got a couple of buff sides. They've got the plus side.
Starting warp engine.
There's
Commencing
more little
warp.
dots or like pew pew
Arrived
combat.
at target location.
Okay, it's another 12-kilometer weapon range. I don't normally screw this one up.
Approaching target.
Roger.
This guy asks you
Target
game-related
engaged.
questions.
Approaching target. Starting warp engine.
Okay, so that makes a big
Commencing
difference, because
warp.
now my small blasters have a 19.6 kilometer range
Target
instead of a
location.
5.8 or whatever. Oh, and this is the one we already got, so no point in doing that again. Head straight into more regulated
Starting
space.
warp engine.
Try and get a few more bonuses.
Commencing warp.
I like the way a lot of
Target
ships
location.
have like transformations. Like you see the way that the wingtips like moved when it went into warp, and then they come out and unfold. I
Approaching
like
target.
that. It's a nice touch. Like banks when it turns instead of just like
Target engaged.
pirouetting and sliding in the direction it should have been moving. mean, you do get like lag instances where, you know, your ship like will move a bit, and you can tell when that's happened from the afterburner trails. It doesn't correct those; they kind of just get dragged across the screen to the
Starting
right
warp
location.
engine. Commencing warp. Arrived at target
It's
location.
either like a movement jerk that's quite noticeable,
Approaching target.
obviously like lag related, or it's smooth and banks and everything.
Roger.
Auto combat activated. Target locked on.
Well, he wasn't orbiting. It happens occasionally. So you just press the lock on, and that sets your auto combat target. So he gives me a nice shield regen bonus, which is not
Auto combat
wonderful. It's
starting
like
warp engine.
200% shield regeneration, which is not recharged.
Commencing warp.
So it's just like your natural shield recovery rate. Although I think if you're
Target
using
location.
small like shield regeneration modules, and this is actually the same 8% bonus as Rampage. So we're basically done. Let's head into Chaotic.
Starting warp
Hopefully there's
engine.
no one in there. We'll be doing actual like
Commencing warp.
mostly combat events in Chaotic rather than the buffs.
Arrived at target location.
But you may have already gotten a sense of how different the combat is in this. Like, you know, clicking between targets to view them.
Auto combat
Auto combat,
activated.
choosing the nearest. Auto firing your guns but leaving your devices up to you. And because bullets have travel time, if you want to manage it properly, you can get targeted off the next one. And once they've taken a bit of hull damage, you might be able to save a couple of rounds of ammo, but these are going down fairly quickly, so.
Approaching target.
And you've got all your little buttons up here, which is like interact.
Target
and
engaged.
then there's that view the other thing. Approach, move away from, and orbit are all just like whatever your selected item is on the left hand side, those will impact it by clicking those icons on the right rather than clicking on the enemy and then selecting it from a menu. Okay, do we have any? There are special sites in here as well, but I haven't got any in this zone. But there's nobody in here.
Starting warp engine.
Okay, so now we get some,
Commencing
like, you know, the bits of
Arrived.
combat
Target
around the
location.
buffs are, like, really easy. The enemies tend to go down pretty quick. This is a better example.
target locked on. Auto
Roger.
I'm not using my, I've got a critical damage enhancer, which increases my crit rate, saving it from when the enemies appear. So it's much easier to just like select an enemy and then set it as your target. So you're much more like up close and personal with your ship, and you see another ship with the wingman there, being there, and you've got like closer explosions and stuff. Oh, bad timing. And that's my last wormhole of the day. So yeah, I was playing with my phone case on and fully closed up and everything. Normally I kind of like open the flap on the back and anyway, Hopefully you got a feel. That happens in any game on this Fahrenheit, even like often, but hopefully you got a feel for the combat in both. SG is definitely a bit more like up close dynamic dogfights where you're like watching the enemies and stuff zooming around, and like the laser shots and missiles are like much more visible. But you do run out of stuff to do. You can't just continuously grind forever. You know, you have a limit on how much you can do per day, kind of thing. Anyway, adios. Well, we got half an